On, guys? ChaseWins.com, Venture Sports Consulting. Happy Friday, everyone. Or it's still Thursday night, but we're going to say it's Friday because this video is going to be for Friday morning. I'm going to give you two free plays. One that I think is going to be kind of overlooked. I think that it's almost too easy and too obvious for people to take what they're going to want to take. So we're going to look at a different side of it. And then we're also going to be looking at a Saturday college football game that I really like. And again, we're going to kind of look at it a different way. And I'm going to give you, outside of just the statistics and the general reasoning why I like the game, another reason that has nothing to do with the game on the field as to why I really like a team to cover what is kind of a steep spread. And a lot of times I don't give away a ton of heavy spreads, especially on free plays. Free plays, we've kind of, tried to lean more towards underdogs than anything else. And with as successful as my underdogs are, 9 times out of 10, they win. So let's do a recap of the last couple of days. I know I've posted about 4 videos in the last 48 hours, giving people 2 free plays that went on this week. If you watched my free play from a couple of days ago, gave you Western Michigan to win outright. We took them on the money line. Crazy finish as to how they did it. Scored 2 touchdowns or 17 points or whatever it was. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I cannot get over this cough from being sick for almost 2 weeks. But anyway, it was a crazy finish as to how they actually won the game, but they won nonetheless. And then gave you a free play on the Tennessee Titans on the money line. That actually ended up becoming a premium play when they were booted down to an underdog. Indianapolis was actually laying 1.5 points by the start of the game, and we released it just about an hour and a half before the game started, and their money line was plus $1.05, and to take the 1.5, or in some spots the point, you would have still had to lay the $1.10. And it's like I told people, in the small write-up that I did for the game, that this is not a game that was going to be decided by 1 point. In no way. Not by either team. It was not going to be a 1-point game. So the smarter investment would be to take plus money. That way, if you lose, you're not laying any juice. And if you win, you make a little more. But that was the smarter investment. I know some people are crazy about taking points. Guys, I'll go ahead and give you a little insight. If I'm taking an underdog, which I take a lot of them, and I win most of them, I'm usually not playing that underdog as a premium or top play unless I truly believe that not only can they win outright, but they are going to. Now, sometimes you take underdogs that are just getting astronomical amounts of points, and you're just taking it because you know that the other side is not going to be able to cover that spread. But, I don't take a lot of those because those, again, there's no skill in doing so. It's taking the team that's laying 4 points, 6 points, 3 points, something like that, knowing that the wrong team is favored and being able to take the points if it's a field goal or more, and then also being able to lay the money line for plus money and cash in 2 tickets with 1 play, essentially. So that's what we do. But we did drop that when they ended up getting beat by Indianapolis. But if you paid attention, if you paid close attention, all of my long-time followers know if I'm talking about a play or something going on in a game and I tell you to read between the lines, I'm giving you another play right there. And when I say that, I can't think of any time in the last 3 years that I haven't won that. And so, as I told everyone how they thought it was going to be a low-scoring game. They thought it was just going to be a ground and pound, eat the clock up type game. And I said that both of these teams, especially Tennessee, was going to have to rely on airing the ball out. What did they do on the first drive of the game? They aired it out. They got down the field in under a minute and scored a touchdown. So they set the precedent, very early as to what type of game this was going to be. So I said it's going to be a lot higher scoring than most people think. And while everybody's going to be thinking under, you need to read between the lines. So if you followed that, you actually got to play a free play winner right there, and that was a premium play. So anyway, let's do a recap on what we had over the past couple of days since I have recorded a video, and we've given out 6 plays in total in the last 2 days, and we've only lost one of them. So on Wednesday night, MAC action. That was the second week of MAC action that we've had. First week, first day of the MAC, we went 5-1, and we had a great day on Wednesday night, going 3-0. We took Western Michigan on the money line, which was a free play. They were ended up laying $1.15 at kickoff. We were laying $1.20 at the time that I gave it out. They ended up winning. We also took the over 58.5 points, and we also took the over 60.5. Some people got it at 61 in the Ball State game, which was another easy over. So we went 3-0 on Wednesday night. Then on Thursday, we had a play in the Boise State game, over 61.5. The game got up as high as 63 at kickoff in some spots. William Hill actually ended up closing at 62.5. Didn't matter. 49 points in the first half. I mean, almost hung a 50 burger on them. Actually should have been more than that. Should have been 56 points because there was one red zone attempt by Colorado State that should have been an easy score that wasn't. But 3 special teams touchdowns in the first half alone. Was it 3 or 4? I think it was 3, but 2 of them were blocked punts for touchdowns. So history was made tonight on special teams in the Mountain West. But that was an easy. Over 61.5 was easy. I mean, it cashed 4 minutes into the second half. We also had the over 48.5 points, 48 points, whatever you got it at, in the Tennessee-Indianapolis Colts game. And we did take Tennessee plus 105 on the money line, which did not come through. So a 2-1 day on Thursday for a 5-1 record in the last 2 days. And here we are going into Friday. We're already sitting in the green, profitable for the week, and we don't plan on slowing down. It's going to be a big week, like it is every week. So let's get on. I'll tell you what we got going on at the site. And if you want to, you can click the links in the description below to give you the links to the other videos that I've done this week that have given out. How many plays have we done? I know I did one free play involving the Georgia-Mizzou game. I recorded the video on Tuesday, posted it. I didn't post it until this morning because there was also the free play on the Tennessee game. I put in the comments there, I know the game was postponed. I apologize. The video was recorded, over 24 hours before that game was postponed. So just disregard it. We revisit that game whenever it's rescheduled. But I've given out 2 underdogs for Saturday already. And I'll put the links of those videos in the description because those games, obviously the teams that we picked are still underdogs. Those games are still valid, and at least one of them is going to make the premium card, I have a feeling. So make sure you go back and watch those. The specials that we have going on, college football or NFL, you can get either one remainder of the season for only $4.99, or you can get a combination of both. Get the remainder of college football season all the way through the national championship, any bowl games, postseason, anything, as well as the rest of NFL, playoffs, Super Bowl, everything. For $4.99 each, or do the combination for $9.99. You can get the college basketball season for $4.99 as an early bird special. That ends on Sunday and goes back to $1,000. Every year, it is a $1,500 package. This year, just because of COVID, and we know that there's going to be some days where there should be a ton of games and there won't be because things get canceled or postponed. We're doing it for $1,000. And for the amount of volume that we play, it's a no-brainer to get it. That's our second best sport overall, which, isn't saying much because we make so much money in every sport we do. But you can get it for $4.99 until Sunday. Same thing goes for NBA, which starts on December the 22nd. We're just over a week away, about 10 days now. Well, no, take that back. 12 days, excuse me. 12 days until the start of college basketball, or you can get the combo pass just like in football, in basketball for $9.99. All of that is there. If you want to test out an all-access membership, which is a $799 month pass, you can get it for $4.99 through Sunday. Then it goes back up to normal price. The 1-year all-access pass is what we recommend everybody go with. That is the most sought-after package because you get everything. There's no upcharge. There's no extra purchases you have to make. You get every single sport, every premium play, every daily top play, every game of the week, game of the month, game of the year. You get NASCAR, international sports, horse racing. There is nothing you do not get if you are an all-access member. If you're just on a normal week or a normal month or 3 days or something like that, then you don't get games of the week or month or year. You just get premium and daily top plays, which is still a very profitable package. But when those games come around, you're going to want them, you're going to buy them, and you're going to have to pay extra for them. The All Access members never have to pay for anything additional. We ran the contest where somebody was able, or a handful of people were able to get the 1-year All Access package for 75% off. All of those winners have been selected. Congrats to you guys. There's a handful that have not responded to their winning notifications. I told everybody in an email as well as on Twitter that you have till 8 a.m. on Friday morning. So tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. If you have not responded to your notifications, then we are redrawing them, because by tomorrow at 5 p.m., this is going to be done with. And if it's not, oh well, the few spots we have left, you'll just miss out. I have 100 emails a week come through asking people want discounts on this package because they bought something, they see what we're all about, and now they want to get everything we offer. They don't want to sit on the sidelines anymore. This will be the last chance you get for a discount in 2020 for our most sought after package. So if you want it, it's not saying you're going to get it, but there's no harm in sending an email to chase@chasewins.com and saying, I want this discount. But just know, if for some reason these handful of people do not come forward by 8 a.m. and we draw and you're one of them, you're going to get an email notification. You're only going to have a few hours to respond before we just let it go. So keep that in mind. Anyway, let's get on to a couple of free plays. Let me double check these lines here. One of them I bet just a few minutes ago, and one of them I'm going to wager here as soon as this video is over with. So the first one, Friday night. Wow, it came down again. Okay, so tomorrow night, November the 13th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we got Florida Atlantic going up against Florida International. Now, the total opened up at 41.5. It shot down to, or it opened up at 41. It shot down to 40.5 pretty fast. But now, at William Hill, we've actually got a total sitting at 40, so that's what we're going to go with. But if your book has 40.5, or hell, even 41, I'm okay with it. Preferably, I want you to get under that 41 mark, but the number that I'm going to give you is 40 because that's what William Hill's got, and I'm actually going to go in and rebet this game. So what we've got here is a total sitting at 40, which is justified, more than justified, because even though Florida Atlantic averages between 25 and 30 points a game. I think right now I think their true average is like 24. And you have a Florida International team that is giving up an average of like 29 points a game. Florida Atlantic, since late last year, is only giving up 11 points a game on average. And again, they've played some teams that are offensively not terrible. They're not powerhouses by any means, but they're teams that on any other week put up decent amount of points, 25, 30, 40. But they go out there and play FAU, they can't even breach 2 touchdowns. Now, here's what you have to notice here. Offensively, is FAU still a decent team? Yes, they're nowhere near what they were under Lane Kiffin, nor will they ever be. When Lane Kiffin came to FAU, he took that team from just, let's say it for what it is, a nobody, to a team that offensively could hang with most of the country. Defensively, they weren't anything to brag about, but again, no Lane Kiffin team ever is. He's not worried about beating you on. He's not worried about beating your offense. He's worried about making sure that his offense can outscore you by a substantial margin. That's Lane Kiffin's way. So being that Lane Kiffin got to get a few recruiting classes in there, you're still going to see the remnants of that Lane Kiffin time there trickle out of there, not only this year, but over the next year or so, because there are still players that Kiffin recruited before he knew he was going to get an offer from a top school. And listen, Kiffin knew that job was a buffer for him to get back into a Power 5 program. Primarily, he wanted back in the SEC. He did. Even though everybody thought that the way he turned his back on Tennessee, because it was, truth be told, the reason he left was because of his wife. She hated Knoxville. Couldn't stand it. Didn't like it. Wanted to go somewhere bigger, nicer, whatever. I get it. Knoxville sucks. But you go from there to LA, and then, while still married, you decide to go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but, Knoxville's Paris compared to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where there is nothing. But again, he turned his back on there, so everybody thought he's now bastardized from the SEC. He'll never be back. That's where he wanted to be. It's where he belongs. But he's not a defensive coach, so you still see that offensive production that Lane Kiffin kind of built up, still looming around at FAU. But what you have now is a defensive-minded coach who's building up that defense light years ahead of what it was. I mean, just look. You got a team that's giving up an average of 38 points a game to a team that's not even giving up an average of 2 touchdowns a game. That's a big leap. But here's what you have here. You have an FIU team that's giving up an average of, we'll just say it, 30 points a game, 29 points a game, whatever you want to say. When you have a team like FAU that has enough offensive playmakers to make big plays, to get short offensive drives, this is what you have. They come out onto the field, they kind of fill out the defense, they take a couple of minutes off the clock, they score. They fill out your weak spots, and the next time around, they try to score and score fast and get their offense off the field. That way, it doesn't put any pressure on their tight ends or their running backs, and that's when they can come out the next go-around. Not only can they score again, but they can cram the ball down your throat. All the while, the defense is expecting them to air the ball out at some point. They won't, not unless they have to, because then they can eat up clock. They can let their receivers rest. They can do something the defense is not expecting them to do or really doesn't know how to, defend at that point because they haven't done it. And they can control the tempo no matter where they want to go. Against an FIU team that just doesn't really have much of a defense, I see FAU being able to really set the standard for this game. The total's sitting at 40, folks. I think FAU can put this up by themselves at bare minimum. Bare minimum, I know they're going to put up 30. And even though they're only letting an average of 11 points per game be scored, I truly, truly believe that FIU will figure out a way to get in the end zone twice throughout the course of the game. It's not going to be as difficult as it may seem. Because if you have noticed over the past 3 games, even though it may not look like they've had the most difficult of time winning the games that they have won, or even in games that they have lost, it just seems like their offense really wasn't there. It wasn't because of their defense. They're a little more one-dimensional defensively than you might think. They don't adjust well on defense. So when it comes to a team that's going to run the ball, they'll figure you out and they'll stop you. But if you can transition from a ground and pound offense to then airing the ball out when you need to and keep adjusting as needed based on the way you're being stopped or lack thereof, and knowing when to keep doing something when you're finding success, they're fairly one-dimensional and it takes them a while to adjust, which then opens the door for teams to put points on the board, even if it's in the form of a field goal. I do not see a world where FAU doesn't put up 30 points in this game. And you're not going to tell me that their defense is so good that FIU has marked this game on their calendar. This is actually a big game for these two programs, because even though this isn't a Florida versus Florida State, or Florida versus Miami, or Miami versus Florida State, this is still an in-state Florida rivalry that means something to these smaller schools. When you talk about FIU, FAU, UCF, USF, that core 4 of non-Power 5 teams, they don't like each other. They never have. They play each other hard. And I think that this game is going to be more offensive than most people are going to be looking at. Again, is the total that it's set at justified? Absolutely. I don't think that it should have opened up any higher. If it opened up any higher, it would just be the odds makers thinking like I'm thinking and going, this game's going to be higher scoring. They've at least got to, go off of the standard that's been set. And people are going to look at this game, and they're going to look at how many points do the team score, how many points do they allow, and you're going to come up with about 40 points. And because it is a rivalry game, they typically play tougher And a lot of times when you have a low scoring team in there or a team that doesn't allow a lot of points, you get a low scoring game. If this game doesn't breach 40, I don't think it breaches 30. I think it's beyond low scoring. I just, with everything put in place, unless both offensive just have a terrible day. Now, I'm not talking about being stopped by a defense. I'm talking about the defense having nothing to do with it and the offense just not being able to get out in front of itself. I think that this game goes well over 40. So I'm going to take the over 40 points tomorrow night, FAU versus FIU at 7 p.m. Now let's get into a game for Saturday. Now let me double check this line just to make sure it hasn't moved because it was kind of jumping back and forth when I was looking at it earlier today. Let me pull William Hill back up. Yep, it dropped again. Good. Okay, so Middle Tennessee State on the road taking on the Marshall Thundering Herd. It's a noon game. Marshall is, for the first time in God knows how long, an AP top 25 team. They're one win away from staking their claim inside the top 15. This is a game that undoubtedly they'll win. Line opened up at 24. It's now at 23 at William Hill. So, matter of fact, let me go ahead and lock this in. All right. Since I am not in Nevada, I just bet that on Bovada because they've got 23 as well, and I'll send that to my runner, and he can do it on my William Hill account as well. But anyway, the way that I'm looking at this game, Marshall's laying 23. Every single way that I broke this game down and giving Middle Tennessee State every single benefit of the doubt. I mean, every benefit of the doubt I can. The best odds I can give for Marshall, the lowest odds would be laying 21 and a half. Now again, 21 and a half and 23, that's a big difference. Because if it was at 21 and a half, I'd be buying a half point, no questions asked. Probably buying a whole point if I was really dead set on playing it. But here's the thing. Without giving Middle Tennessee the benefit of the doubt and going off of what I should go off of and everything that I put into a game, I've got them laying 24 and a half points across the board every time. So at 23, you say, well, that's not a very big jump. That's a very slim margin of error to play with, especially when you're laying over 3 touchdowns. But here's one thing I want you guys to remember, and I know a lot of people don't like that I look into things that just shouldn't matter. But every single time I look at something like this, I talk about it on video every time, because every time something just that could even be remotely similar to a situation like this where it's just a coincidence, really, it always wins. Saturday marks the 50th anniversary of the worst tragedy in sports history, which is the plane crash that killed, 74, 75 people? 72 people? It was over 70. It was 69 people, I think. And then 3 players, if I'm not mistaken, or 6 players. I can't remember the exact numbers, but the plane crash that had coaches, players, personnel, faculty for Marshall University. I'm sure you guys have seen the movie We Are Marshall, so you know all about the story. But Saturday marks the 50th anniversary of the day of that crash. And I know that doesn't mean anything for the game that's going on in the field. And I know that the players that are taking the field weren't even alive when this happened. I wasn't alive. But here's the thing about it. The players that are taking the field on Saturday, they know the story all too well. And it's not just because they saw the movie. It's not just because they go to Marshall. I actually know people in my life that until they saw the movie had no idea who Marshall was. Had never heard of them. Had never heard of the university. Had never heard of the football team. And thought it was fictitious for a while. Um, a lot of these kids are from West Virginia. Marshall's one of those schools that don't pluck kids from all over the country. Yeah, they've got some. But if you look at actual, in-state kind of hometown recruiting, Marshall is much more a hometown recruiter than West Virginia is. Because West Virginia is backed by the Big 12 and the Power 5, they have a farther reach. They have a bigger budget. They can go get it. So a lot of these kids grew up knowing this because their parents lived through it. Their parents may have been affected by it. Their parents might have been students at the time. Their grandparents might have been expected. I mean, there might be kids on that field or in this faculty that may have been, family members of someone who lost their life on that tragic day. So, they're going to honor it. That that's going to be at the forefront of everybody's mind. So you have that. You have that playing for something bigger than yourself, bigger than your team, bigger than your ranking, bigger than the game of football. You have it. You have it playing for the fallen ones, for the ones that didn't get to play. It means something. So here's what you have here. Not only do you have a team that is fighting for their spot in the top 15, and if they get it, and if the stars kind of align this week and you have a couple of top teams go down, maybe even just one, you don't just go from 16th to 15th. You'll go from 16th to 13th to 12th. And then you're one win away from cracking into the top 10 with still enough time left in this season where if the stars align, who knows what could happen. You are not mathematically out of playoff contention yet, and they know it. And it's not that they have a clean slate ahead of them to go out there and sweep the board and run the table, but it's not impossible either. And I'm telling you right now, if you've watched any games with Marshall this year, and I've watched every single snap that team has taken this season, they're a good football team. This isn't a flash in the pan, guys. They're a good football team. Are they Alabama good or Ohio State good? No. But they're top 10 football good. Because if you look at the top 10 slate of football this year, there's not too many teams that are playing as good as a team as Marshall. Marshall has as many playmakers on the field as they have players. Everybody on that team is contributing to that team's success. And you can't say that for any team in the country, not even Alabama, not even Ohio State. The team is good. They know what's on the line. And they know that with a team like Middle Tennessee State that likes to air the ball out, that is a team that could come back and get back in a game really quickly, even though they're bad. They're a bad team. You take your eyes off them for a minute, you could be up 21, and before you know it, it's a touchdown game. On any other day, with me having 24.5 is what my number is, and 23 is what we have to lay, I wouldn't take this game for any more than a lean, because what happens in the fourth quarter when you have a team that's up by 3 touchdowns? They take the foot off the gas, they take their starters out, they start looking ahead to that next week. With the fact that they are going for a top 15 spot and to keep their perfect record, one thing that you have is a team that's going to fight the first 3 quarters for, if not for anything more than that. And then in that fourth quarter, when you think they're going to take their foot off the gas, what the day means, not the game, not what happens after the game, what that day means. What that day means to those players, to that school, to the alumni, to the town, to the state of West Virginia, to college football in general, to sports in general. It's going to have that team want to make a statement. And what is that statement? We are Marshall. Kind of gives you chills, doesn't it? Because of everything that that day means, on top of where I have the numbers, I'm happy. I'm happy to lay 23 with Marshall to take down Middle Tennessee State. So there's your 2 free plays. Friday night, we're going to go over 40 points with Florida Atlantic and Florida International. On Saturday, we are going to lay 23 points with Marshall to take down Middle Tennessee State by more than 23 points. That is your 2 free plays for the day. Be on the lookout for all of my All Access clients. Be on the lookout for a big top play this weekend. Game of the month, potentially even game of the year status. Also looking at one in the NFL. I don't know what the games will rank out. There's still information that I am gathering and waiting on, so nothing is set in stone yet. All of my All Access clients get those plays automatically. Obviously, if you're not an All Access member, once those games are decided, I will let everyone know, and you can purchase those games separately on the website. But if you want to become an All Access member, go purchase the 30-day All Access Pass. Dip your toes in the water. I'll make you enough profit for you to go buy the 1-year All Access Pass just out of your profit in your month alone. If you want to get 75% off of the 1-year All Access Pass, shoot me an email, chase@chasewins.com. And if something happens and we don't have somebody reach back out after winning the contest, we'll redraw and you might be one of the lucky ones. It's worth 10 seconds of your time to send me an email just to try. I love you guys. I will see you back either tomorrow at some point or on Saturday for some NFL free information and to give you an update on our big top plays for the weekend. It's already been a great week thus far. We're going to keep it rolling, and it's going to be a weekend to remember. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in as always, and I'll see you back soon.